Olympic skier Eileen responds to Vice President J.D. Vance's comments on China representation. Olympic skier Eileen has a message for the Vice President of the United States. "I'm flattered. Thanks, J.D. That's sweet," 22, told USA Today on Thursday, February 19th, after Vice President J.D. Vance criticized the Olympic medalist for choosing to represent China at the 2026 Winter Olympics in Milan, Italy, adding that she feels like a bit of a punching bag for a certain strand of American politics at the moment. "So many athletes compete for a different country. People only have a problem with me doing it because they kind of lump China into this monolithic entity, and they just hate China," the athlete continued. "So it's not really about what they think it's about." GU added, "And also, because I win. Like if I wasn't doing well, I think that they probably wouldn't care as much, and that's okay for me." GU, the most decorated female freestyle skier in Olympic history, was born in San Francisco, California, but opted to represent China, where her mother, Yang Jiyu, is from, prior to competing at the 2022 Winter Olympics in Beijing. "I have decided to compete for China in the upcoming 2022 Winter Olympics," the athlete wrote via Instagram at the time. "This was an incredibly tough decision for me to make. I am extremely thankful for U.S. Ski and Snowboard and the Chinese Ski Association for having the vision and belief in me to make my dreams come true. I am proud of my heritage and equally proud of my American upbringings. The opportunity to help inspire millions of young people where my mom was born during the 2022 Beijing Olympic Winter Games is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to help promote the sport I love." Eileen Vice President J.D. Vance. Getty Images. Earlier this week, Eileen, who speaks fluent Mandarin Chinese and spent many of her summers in Beijing, opened up to The Athletic about the reason why she ultimately decided to represent China instead of the United States. "In the U.S. growing up, I had so many idols to look up to," Eileen told the outlet. "But in China, I feel like there are a lot fewer of those. I'd have a much greater impact in China than in the U.S., and that's ultimately why I made my decision." Vance, 41, criticized the skier, who boasts 2 2022 halfpipe and big air gold medals and a silver slopestyle medal in addition to her 2 silver 2026 Winter Olympics medals, for her decision to represent China internationally, telling Fox News on Tuesday, February 17th, that he is only rooting for American athletes. "I certainly think that somebody who grew up in the United States of America, who benefited from our education system, from the freedoms and liberties that make this country a great place, I would hope they want to compete with the United States of America," Vance told the outlet at the time. "So, I'm going to root for American athletes, and I think part of that is people who identify themselves as Americans. That's who I'm rooting for this Olympics." Of course, the Vice President and President Donald Trump have been critical of outspoken Team USA athletes, too. U.S. Olympic skier Hunter Hess, a real loser, says he doesn't represent his country in the current Winter Olympics. Trump, 79, wrote via social media on February 8 after Hess, 27, admitted it was difficult to represent the United States during the country's current political turmoil. "If that's the case, he shouldn't have tried out for the team, and it's too bad he's on it," the president added. "Very hard to root for someone like this. Make America great again." Olympic skier Eileen responds to Vice President J.D. Vance's comments on China representation. "In the world of global sports, few athletes embody the intersection of culture, identity, and politics as vividly as freestyle skiing star Eileen Born in San Francisco to an American father and a Chinese mother, has become one of the most decorated female freestyle skiers in Olympic history. Yet her achievements on snow have often been overshadowed by debates about nationality, loyalty, and geopolitics. When U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance publicly questioned her decision to represent China instead of the United States during the 2026 Winter Olympics, the conversation intensified, igniting discussions across media platforms, political circles, and sports communities. What followed was not just a sports controversy, but a deeper reflection on identity, belonging, and the evolving nature of global athletics. The rise of a global skiing phenomenon. Eileen Gu's journey to Olympic glory began on the snowy slopes of California's Lake Tahoe. From a young age, she displayed an extraordinary combination of athleticism, determination, and creativity. Skiing was not merely a sport to her, it was a language through which she expressed freedom and ambition. By her teenage years, Jiyu was already dominating freestyle skiing competitions. Her fearless style, technical mastery, and artistic flair quickly set her apart. Coaches described her as a once-in-a-generation talent. Fans admired her ability to land complex tricks with precision while maintaining a graceful flow that made the sport look effortless. But Jiyu was more than an athlete. She was a student, a model, and a multilingual young woman navigating two cultures. Fluent in both English and Mandarin, she spent much of her life traveling between the United States and China, absorbing influences from both sides of her heritage. This dual cultural identity would eventually shape one of the most significant decisions of her career, choosing China. In 2019, at the age of 15, Jiyu made a surprising announcement. She would represent China in international skiing competitions instead of the United States. The decision immediately drew attention. Some celebrated it as a symbol of cultural bridge building, while others viewed it as controversial. For Jiyu, however, the choice felt deeply personal. China, despite its enormous population, had relatively few winter sports stars compared to traditional skiing nations. Jiyu saw an opportunity to inspire young athletes, particularly girls, to enter a sport that was still developing there. She explained that competing for China allowed her to help grow freestyle skiing and provide role models for the next generation. Her connection to the country through her mother and extended family made the decision feel meaningful rather than political. Still, not everyone saw it that way. Olympic success and global fame. Gu's Olympic debut came at the 2022 Beijing Winter Olympics, where she delivered a stunning performance. She won 2 gold medals and 1 silver, cementing her place among the world's elite freestyle skiers. Her daring tricks, especially a historic 1620 spin, captured global attention. The moment became one of the defining highlights of the Games. By the time the 2026 Winter Olympics in Milan Cortina arrived, Jiyu had already become a superstar. She added more medals to her collection and strengthened her reputation as the most decorated female freestyle skier in Olympic history. With fame, however, came scrutiny. Her success under the Chinese flag sparked intense debate, particularly in the United States. Critics questioned whether an American-born athlete should compete for another nation. Supporters argued that international sports have long allowed athletes to represent countries connected to their heritage.